Guys, good morning. Today I want to talk to you a little bit about how you can own Bitcoin risk-free. In life it's impossible to ever have zero risk, but you can mitigate your risk, you can understand how to use risk. And anyone who's created any sort of wealth in their life has used risk. That's the only way you can achieve that. So risk is something that we have to get comfortable with. In school, I think, is where this problem started, where we were all created all these factory workers, but we've no need for factory workers. With factory workers, you don't want them taking risks, okay, because they'll get killed, they'll die. So sort of the ability to take risk was schooled out of us, and you have to school it back into yourself if you do want to get rich, be healthy, all this other sort of stuff, okay? It all involves risk, and that's what I want to chat to you about today. If that sounds good, your daily exercise, all I ask is you just hit the like button. It pushes content out to more people. We're trying to get this message across to as many Irish people as possible, because most of them listen to the banks, listen to the newspaper headlines, listen to the politicians, listen to the European Central Bank, and all those systems, unfortunately, are only designed to keep you fat, sick and poor. And if you don't want that, okay, listen up. I'm just here in San Vicente in the north coast of Spain. It's a beautiful morning here. I'm just having a coffee here, and said I'd throw a little video to you guys and then go get a bit of surfing in. So when it comes to risk is essential. I want to talk to you about how to own Bitcoin risk-free. Managing risk is really important. When I was 16, 17, 18, online poker was a thing. And poker is a game of skill, it's a game of percentages, and it's a game of managing risk. And I used to play poker online just to earn an extra few bob, because I was working as an apprenticeship at the time, and I was like, I could play this game, and if you just count the cards and work out the percentages roughly in your head, you can win more times than you lose, so I can make a few bob once I do this. Obviously, when you disrespected the game and you didn't use risk management and you use your emotions, that's when you lose. But when you learn to calculate the risk and use the risk, it's when you can take money off people who are using their emotions to play the game. And that's the beauty of poker, and that's how you get an edge in poker. One of my hobbies is motorcycling. Like, motorcycles are really dangerous. I've broke my collarbones multiple times, I've mangled my wrists, took a lump out of my elbow, broke my sternum, I broke my pelvis, I've broken my back. But every single accident I have, the reason why I'm not afraid to get on a motorbike, I'm not afraid to hit a jump, I'm not afraid to do faster than I should admit, okay, is because every single accident that I had, I know what went wrong. I know how I disrespected the laws of physics or the error that I made, and that means you've no fear when you do it again because you know your error. And that's all about risk, is learning. You learn from risk. From taking risks you learn lessons, and that allows you to do stuff better in the future. So when it comes to Bitcoin now, with everything we know, guys, okay, and in case you don't know it, I'll just give you a recap. Like, the Bitcoin ban is off the table. All the banks are talking about it. The regulators allows banks to hold it, so Bitcoin's not getting banned, okay? The pensions in the US all own it now with the futures ETF. So the Bitcoin ban is off the table. People are silly for worrying about that. That was a legitimate worry 4 years ago. It was something I did think when I was investing into Bitcoin. I was like, this thing could get banned. Can Bitcoin be changed? Okay, that was a legitimate concern with Bitcoin. And with the block size wars in 2017, it became apparent that nobody can change Bitcoin. The supply is finite. There's only 21 million and nobody can change that. Can Bitcoin be hacked? That's sort of where most people think, oh, it'll be hacked. That's what my dad always says, everything can be hacked. Eventually it'll be hacked. But when you understand how Bitcoin works, it's like you can hack away, because it doesn't rely on hacking per se. It relies more on incentives, and it just relies on people being greedy and acting in their own self-interest. And that's what protects it, and that's what secures it. So it's so beautiful. And the last thing, okay, is it needed? Was there a use case for Bitcoin? And that was, in the earlier years, it was like, well, what's it for? We don't really know what it's for. But now it's plain as day obvious. There's a massive use case for Bitcoin. It's a store of value. Everything is hemorrhaging value. That's why everything you want to buy costs more money. Okay? So every single person, every company, every entity, every country, every corporation, they all need an ability to store the value. Okay? And we've been storing our value in analog products, and now we have a digital product. And in every other instance where you had an analog product and a digital product came along to replace it, the digital product is like 100 to 1,000 to 1,000,000 times more valuable. So it's as obvious as the nose on your face, guys, that Bitcoin's needed. It's not going anywhere, and it's going to be worth a hell of a lot in the future. So how do you own it? This is because Bitcoin's price is rallying. We're getting new people coming in, new people interested. Hopefully all the old people from the other cycle have done their work, and they've been accumulating through the bear market, and they're now in a very comfortable financial position. From just 3 years of going against the grain, they're in a really comfortable financial position. Okay, and as I say, like, give it a 4-year cycle. That's your apprenticeship in Bitcoin. Before you can have an opinion, okay, you need to be in the thing for 4 years, I think. Okay, because then you understand everything. If you do the work, obviously, if you don't do the work and you just come in, buy high, sell low, leave the space for 3 years, come back in the next bull market, you know, you're a hype chaser. You're the people who buy weight loss pills instead of actually doing the work. Okay, but inevitably, when the price goes up, it brings in new participants, and I want you guys to learn the right way, and I want you to try and push this content out there, because more Irish people need to own Bitcoin. When you understand how the world is trending, okay, people smarter than me have figured out that all these governments, they're running massive deficits. Okay, the governments don't make money, they just take money from you and me. But the problem is now is that the debt that these governments have is more than we make, more than we can pay in taxes. Okay, so there's no solution to this debt spiral, as James Lavish or Greg Foss might refer to it as, a debt spiral that we're in. The only solution is to continue to print money. Now remember, for every euro the European Central Bank prints, that devalues the euro, every euro that's in your bank account. So every €1 they print, it devalues every single euro that's in your bank account. Okay, devalues every bit of your savings, devalues your pension. Okay, it devalues your purchasing power. That's why oranges cost more, that's why toilet roll costs more. Okay, and I've jokingly said for years that toilet roll is better money than euros, because toilet roll is only getting more expensive. Every 5 years toilet roll costs more. Okay, I need to give more euros for toilet roll. Maybe I'd be better off saving in toilet roll than euros. But there is something even better to save in than toilet roll, don't worry. So there's numerous different asset classes, okay, where you can save. Okay, and people save cash. Most people save cash. That's what I did when I was a poor person. I lived in a caravan. Well, I had nothing, but then I started to save some cash. But then you can get into property. Property is, you know, it takes a lot of money to get into property, so it's not available for everyone. You can save in a bit of gold, but guys, gold investors, they're going to sell their gold and buy Bitcoin. They just haven't done the work yet. Watch it happen. Gold has done nothing. Gold won't make you rich, it'll only keep you rich. So if you're super rich, you can buy gold. But if you're not and you're hoping to get rich, gold's not going to do it. It hasn't done it in 5,000 years. It's just protected purchasing power. That's all it's done for 5,000 years. It's probably not going to change in your lifetime, next 20, 30 years. Okay? But people buy bonds. Again, bonds are the stupidest investment ever, because you're buying a 10-year bond, paying out 5%, thinking you're a genius, and inflation is running at 6%. You're losing money. Anyone who has half a brain knows inflation is way higher than 6%, okay, because their cost of living hasn't gone up 6%. Find something that's gone up in price only 6% is what I say to people, and you won't be able to, okay, unless it's some processed good that they've shrinkflated or they've reduced the quality of. But anything like quality, check out organic meats, check out organic fruit and veg. Like, look what's happened to the price of that stuff, guys. You know, you can't fuck with that, okay? It is what it is. So you see the true reflection of what's going on with the money. So how do you buy Bitcoin risk free? Well, it's like this. If I say to you, give me €1 and you can win €100, you'd say, okay, well, what are my odds? And I'd say, well, your odds are probably around 90% chance you're going to win and 10% chance you're going to lose. You take the bet all day long if you understood risk, if you understood maths, if you understood probability. You'd be like, hell yeah, can I bet €10? In fact, can I bet all my euros? Okay? Because Bitcoin's going to do 100x. Okay? Within your lifetime, it's going to do 100x. None of this is financial advice. This is just me and my opinion and my studies. 10,000 hours of studying Bitcoin. Something that I became insanely interested in, because it changed the quality of my life, and I think it can change the quality of everyone's life. People believe all the narratives and all the BS, okay? But there's people like us, people who've embraced Bitcoin, people who've used Bitcoin. We're living a different life. We're not in the rat race. We're not trapped like those who swallow the propaganda are, okay? And who fear the risk because they don't actually understand risk are. We live a different life, and we want more use to come over here because it's more fun. And the problem is, as this debt spiral continues and people continue to lose more and more and more, basically the world goes to shit. So it's my job and everyone's job who gets Bitcoin, who embraces Bitcoin, who uses Bitcoin, who has benefited their life, is to go and teach other people. Okay, it's like a lifeboat. When there's people drowning around you, You tell them, get in the fucking lifeboat. You pull them into the thing, okay? And that's our job. So how I explain it when I'm dealing with my consultant clients, and a lot of these guys are multi-millionaires who we deal with, so they have large asset portfolios. Some of them have a lot of property, some of them own a lot of businesses, or one very successful business, and some of them have large collectible collections, and some of them have bits of everything, okay? And they might have zero allocation to Bitcoin. How I explain it to them is, I say we need to get you to 1% as fast as possible. If your net worth is $1 million, 2 million, 10 million, 5 million, or even 100 grand, or even 50 grand, we need to get you to 1% in Bitcoin. And my rationale is, well, if you lose 1% of your net worth, it makes absolutely zero difference to your retirement, to your life. You don't notice it, okay? Anyone can take a 1% haircut and they will not notice it. It will make zero marginal difference to anything, okay? So it's risk-free to have 1% of your net worth in Bitcoin, because you're not going to feel 1%, okay? And that's the minimum. Now, Greg Foss reckons that young people should have 100% of their net worth in Bitcoin, because he just sees it as there's no other option. If I was a young person, I would, and knowing what I know, that's the exact way I'd play it. If I was a poor person, which I used to be, okay, I took more risk. I'd have a much higher percentage of my net worth in Bitcoin, because I'd have nothing to lose. I was already poor. See, this is risk. This is understanding risk, okay? As you climb the financial ladder and you become more and more wealthy, you need to de-risk yourself, okay? Because it's riskier to go backwards than to get more rich. Once you have enough money to cover your cost of living, whatever that is, like some people have an extravagant cost of living, some people not so much. I'm happy enough there in the old van, lads, sitting on a curb, drinking an old coffee, and eating me €1 bread that I bought in the Lupo there. You know, my cost of living's not that high, but don't get me wrong, like, I have plenty of toys, I like to treat myself as well. But I've no problem living like a pauper. In fact, I sort of came to the conclusion that, you know, money didn't solve any of my problems, it just made them bigger. And sometimes it's nice to detach away from all the things, away from all the stuff, and just get time on your own to enjoy, you know, experiences. And most experiences in nature are free. Like going surfing's free, going walking is free, going for a jog is free, going for a hike is free, going for a cycle is free, and all these things, you know, they bring a lot of joy. So you need to figure out, guys, that Bitcoin's not going away. It's riskier to have no Bitcoin. It's riskier to procrastinate, and the reason for that is, in yesterday's video I talked about acting aggressive early. You can check that out if you haven't checked it out, because that's a strategy that we all use. It's a strategy that I used when I came to Bitcoin. It was insanely beneficial, and it's insanely beneficial to everyone who comes to the conclusion that they need to own this thing, okay? Your euro is going to buy you less next year. Your pension, okay, has to beat that hurdle rate. So even if your pension's bringing in 6% a year and inflation's running at 6% a year, well, you can do great, baby. And in 10 years time, your pension's going to give you a lump of cash, but it's going to buy you the exact same amount of stuff as it buys you today. It's not going to make any money, and that's the risk that you're taking with a pension. Smart people are realizing that Bitcoin is a much better pension vehicle, because Bitcoin can't be printed, Bitcoin can't be inflated, Bitcoin doesn't suffer from that, Bitcoin doesn't need humans to manage it, to sell, to buy, to try and time markets, to balance risk, okay? Bitcoin is just this perfect digital scarce asset that every 4 years gets scarcer and scarcer, okay? Bitcoin has halved. If you understand the halving cycle, we've had 3 halvings. That's 4 fingers, Dinny. We've had 3 halvings. We've had 3 halvings. There's something like 32 left. Every time Bitcoin halves, the price goes up. It goes up a lot. Alright, Bitcoin halves next year. You need to tell your friends and family, if you're coming to this thing, if you're only discovering my videos, get yourself a Bitcoin book. Go and read a bloody book. Stop listening to people or watching junk, reading junk articles, which is just paid propaganda, anti-Bitcoin stuff, just to make sure you don't own it, because it gives you freedom, okay? It allows you to live your life on your own terms. It gives you your time back, alright? And you're not designed to that. Remember, you went to school to become a worker, to become a taxpayer, alright? To become a factory worker. That's how we school people. We're schooling them for factory workers, even though we don't need factory workers anymore. We need people who can solve problems and, you know, bring people together and think critically, but we school that out of people, and then we wonder why the world is trending the way it is, okay? There's more to it. Get out of the box, invest some time into your Bitcoin apprenticeship, do your 4-year apprenticeship, and I'm very certain it'll change your life in a massively positive way, and it won't take 4 years to do it, because once you understand this thing, it gives you hope, and once you have hope, you enjoy the present rather than worrying about the present and worrying about the future. Once you've hope in the present and you've happiness in the present and you've no worries about the future, you live your life a very different way. Okay, and a lot of us are doing that right now, and that's what we want for all you guys. The way you can push this content out there, the way you can try and share it, it's just to share the video, like the video, throw a comment in, tag someone, okay? Because most people don't know about Bitcoin. That's the irony. The 7 million people in Ireland, the vast majority of them think Bitcoin, crypto, it's all the same thing. They haven't done the work yet. It does take a bit of work, but just get yourself one Bitcoin book and you'll be a mile ahead of where you are now. If you're interested in that, and I do, of course, check out bitcoinwithdinny.com. You'll see our consulting and everything where I build it all for you if you don't have time to read books. But you know, if you have no money, you have your time. Spend your time, okay? You can find a lot of the books for free if you can't afford a book, and if you can't afford a book, by Jesus, you're spending your money on the wrong things. Guys, hope you have a super day. Remember, it's riskier to hold 0 Bitcoin, okay? And this isn't Dinny's. This isn't Dinny's maths, okay? This is the best finance managers, money managers in the world. So really smart people, not some clown on the internet, okay, who's been swallowed into conspiracy theories for the last 10 years and trusts nothing and just lives in 100% cortisol and fear and anxiety because he thinks every single thing is a conspiracy, okay? Screw those guys. They don't bring positivity. They can't act because they're just a deer in the headlights, okay? And their eyes are so wide. They can't act, they can't think, okay? They're frozen. Don't listen to that bullshit, okay? Listen to smart people. Listen to rich people. Smarter people than me, richer people than me, of course, okay? But all these money managers are saying it's riskier for a portfolio to do the traditional stocks and bonds. That didn't work. That worked 20 years ago, and it worked right up until COVID, until we printed all that money. But that doesn't work anymore, so you're going to have to change. You have to realise that the game has changed. Just like Blockbuster failed to realise the game had changed, and that's why they went bankrupt in a couple of years after Netflix coming out, okay? This is what's happening. Don't get blockbustered. It's coming, it's inevitable. Bitcoin's a black hole, it sucks everything in. I don't just say that for the crack, I say that for the amount of work I've done. And once you do the work, you'll understand it plain as day. You live your life different, and it'll be better, I promise you that. Carl just said, Dinny, can you recommend a Bitcoin book? Everything Divided by 21 Million is a good book because it's simple. The Bitcoin standard is amazing, but it's a bit complex. If someone is trying to get into Bitcoin, it's too complicated for them. It will explain it in great detail. But Everything Divided by 21 Million is a good book. What's that other one that the lad up the north wrote? Jesus, and I know him, I can't think of his name now. Why Bitcoin, I think. He was an Irish guy, wrote it. Jesus, what's his name? I can't think of it now. I was only thinking of it earlier. Yeah, Why Bitcoin is a great book. It's like a black cover with orange Why Bitcoin. Hard Money You Can't Fuck With is another good book. Literally any Bitcoin book. Read them all. I have. Don't start with Why Bitcoin is Venice, because that's too deep. That's fucking that's weeks of content, and it's just too difficult. I had to struggle through that. So don't start. The only Bitcoin book not to read is Bitcoin is Venice. Other than that, you're okay with any of them. They're all savage. Guys, have a super day. Dinny out. Thanks for being here.